Hey everybody, welcome to Raising Vibrations. And in this video, I want to talk to you about how we learn astrology and why I believe that we are missing out on a huge potential to experience the power and the enrichment that can be had when coming into this art form. My experience so far with mentoring people, with teaching students, watching astrology readings, is that the natural way that we come into astrology when we learn it is that we're taking all the information and gathering it all from the outside and listening to this person and listening to that person and reading this textbook. And then what we have is like a collage of all of the information that we've taken in. The problem is that, as I said, when you try to make sense of your transit, or if you're trying to make sense of your soul signature, you're left with what information is actually relevant, what information actually can facilitate a transformation for me, and how do I actually get the insight that I'm seeking, because that's why I came to this art form. We come to this astrology because we're seeking to solve a dilemma in our lives. We're seeking to understand ourselves better. We're seeking to make sense of a crisis we're potentially in. And so we use this tool to facilitate a deeper relationship to ourselves. And yet, as I said, when I've watched students try to apply the understanding of astrology, the piece that's missing when we're in self-study is that we're not actually feeling and directly experiencing the archetypes for ourselves. We're trying to memorize the words. We're trying to memorize the information that we've taken in. We're trying to recall the things that we've taken on and then apply that to the chart. So what we're doing is we're seeing like a Mars in Cancer as an example, and then we're like, okay, Mars in Cancer, I read it was about this, or it's like that. And so what happens is we bring that information to the conversation, and then that's there, and then we not need to make sense of that. We're trying to make sense of the way that we've learned it, rather than to understand why that Mars in Cancer is there and what is it affording you as a story that is your life. You're not even getting to the meat and bones of the actual experience and the story that you are living out with, say, Mars in Cancer or Venus in Virgo, whatever the planetary system you have. So what happens is the way that we learn astrology and the way that we have astrology readings is we go from this place here, the Earth, out into the sky, the cosmos, right? We go into where the planets are and we have a conversation about the different words and terminologies and language, and it's all there in the hemisphere, right? Up there, top hemisphere. And we forgot about the place where it all matters. Wisdom comes from insight. It comes from the ability for the information to be digested and metabolized into ourselves that creates an awakening experience, realization. So how do we create relevance when we're looking at the chart? And how do we create realization within ourselves? We can't, because the piece that's missing is we're not learning it through a somatic process. We're not experiencing and paying attention and prioritizing our direct experience of the astrology. We are out there learning the language and the labels and then trying to recall it back in here to see if it's accurate or if it's right. So for the most part, if you're learning astrology and you do a reading for somebody, you might go, I just want to make sure that I get it right. There's a insecurity or an uncertainty, a lack of trust within yourself. And that leads you to feel not wanting to do astrology readings because of lack of confidence. And it's also not actually showing you that the power of astrology is actually there right at the fingertips. You're just not accessing it. So we're divorced from this true potential of enriching somebody's life because you have been enriched your own. When you came into the astrology, you validate it and you value it because you had some form of experience that helped you understand yourself better. And for most of you, you'll come into it because you want to then share it with other people. And then you get blocked, like, I can't get to that space. And that's what I've seen is we're divorced from it. We're in the language space. We're trying to intellectualize these things. What does this Mars in Cancer mean? I've never understood this over here. And we're in this wandering space. How about we learn it in a way where the symbol itself becomes the meditation. What is Gemini? What is Gemini? That's our first question. What is Gemini? Now, in a somatic learning process, Gemini is a principle of dialectics. Okay? So drop into where we experience dialogue. What is a dialogue? Where do you experience a dialogue? Every day of your life. You're talking to somebody. What does talking do? It affords connection. It affords clarity. It affords ideas that are being transformed. So when we drop into a space of actually feeling and being present with an archetype, something else awakens within us. We broaden our horizons. We start seeing beyond the definitions and coming into our lived experience. And that allows us to open up an entirely new dimension of what it is that we're actually doing in this art form. We're exploring, we're opening up. We're not being bound by the definitions in the memory recall. We're being immersed into the experience of exploration. And particularly, we're exploring how these symbols reflect reality for us. So, when we're learning astrology, it's important to integrate a somatic learning process to directly experience for yourself. And what happens for you is you stop becoming overly identified with the language and become consumed by the exploration of it. How is the story lived out in your life? Where has the experience of communication been important for you? And what's happening is you're going from the cosmos into the earth, embodied, grounded. And you're doing this because you're directly experiencing this for yourself through a somatic learning process. Once you're grounded into yourself, you can relate to this. When you relate to this, you see it. You are now enriched by your experience. You're no longer in wondering of what this means, but you're in contact with how it's playing out in your life. And that is where the power lies. Learning astrology and including the somatic immersive process gives you the enrichment and the potential and the potency that comes along with this art form. So what I'm going to be doing in another video is I'm going to be showing you what the next step is, or the first step that you need to take to be able to begin orientating yourself towards learning this way. And that is something that I am incredibly proud of in terms of why sharing this means a lot to me, because I've seen people go through deeply profound changes and experiences when they've dropped into the earthbound experience of their astrology versus the sky out there experience of it. All we're doing is we're just shifting. Now, for those of you that are wanting to learn astrology and want me to teach you how to experience astrology this way, that is what the Evolutionary Astrology Immersion is. And I'm going to be opening that up on the 26th of March, 2024. So I'm so excited for this because it gives me the opportunity to take people, you, that is wanting to enrich your experience and your practice by actually accessing the depth that's there. So if you're interested in that, there is a link in the description. All you need to do is just put your name on the waitlist and I'll send some information out to you to tell you when it's been opening. That benefits you if you put your name on the waitlist because there is limited spaces for this actual program itself, okay? For me, I prioritize high value and high quality. And for me, that means that I'm only opening up to a limited amount of people. So if you want to be a part of that, make sure your name's on the waitlist. All right. So in the next couple of days, I'm going to be sharing with you what the first step is that we need to take to be able to experience and really see what I'm talking about here with this immersive process. Until then, guys, take care. Bye-bye.